So let's start na okay. So once again, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
Our
sir.
lesson for this afternoon is all about reasoning. We are now on the new chapter of our course GE4, and this is all about the reasoning. Reasoning is a prerequisite to problem solving. Problem solving, as we all know, is a very important part of this subject, and this is one of the competencies that is developed when you are studying mathematics. So I will now share to you our material for this afternoon. So this is all about the reasoning, and for this afternoon we're going to discuss two important classifications of reasoning. Are you familiar with deductive and inductive reasoning?
No,
Wala,
sir.
Okay. So wala pa mo na-discussan og deductive and inductive reasoning in your senior high school or even in your junior
Wala.
high
Na-discussion.
school?
Murag
Wala,
wala, sir.
sir.
Nalimutan
Kanang
siguro, sir.
Wala, sir.
Siguro nalimtan lang siguro ang
reasoning
uban,
and
no?
inductive.
Pero I
Bogan
think this
tayo
is
kita
part
ko.
of mathematics sa katuganing first maths sa senior high school. Part maguni siya reasoning, ma-discuss yun ni siya perminti. But anyway, we're going to have a discussion of this. Well, for the others, I believe review na lang ni siya. Sa uban siguro katong na absent during this time during sa discussion silang teacher, so this will be your first time. So you have to pay attention because this is very important. Again, this will be included in your second examination, upcoming examination. Gamay lang man itong coverage for your second examination. It will be all about reasoning and problem solving. So mao lang tong duha. So let's have the first part. Since we are talking about reasoning, we are dealing with two things. The first one is logic and reasoning. So how about logic? Are you familiar with logic?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes,
Sir.
yes, sir.
Of course, you have a subject. I think na subject karon sa first year nga logic. Do you have your, I think parts as a GE? Logic, do you have that? It is
Wala,
actually the
sir.
science. Wala pa mo siguro, pero that's part of the core subjects also in college as well as in senior high school. I believe na ay logic sa senior high school when you talk about katong mga philosophy ninyo, di ba? Na discuss din ninyong logic. This is a branch and it is also a science of reasoning. So the correct reasoning is known as logic. That is why kung mag-study ka og logic, katong gusto mag-lawyer siguro in the future, sakit kay sa ulo kay you still have to know the different patterns of how to make your conclusions o sa yung pag-justify. So muna siya ang ginastadihan when you are dealing with logic. And the process of making conclusion, kana maghimo ka og justification, from your facts, kung sa available nga mga facts nga naa ka, then from that, himuan nimo siya og conclusion, that is reasoning ang tawag ana. So these are some of the vocabularies that we have to understand so that we can learn something from our topic this afternoon. So klaro na no, logic, that is the science, is also an art, I believe, in making reasons, while reasoning is the process of making justification or conclusion. So when you are solving a problem, you are trying to do a lot of things. The first of which is you have to understand. Di ba masabtan ba nimo or masolve ba nimo ang problem if in the first place wala ka kasabot kung unsa to siya?
Dili,
Di
sir.
ba dili? Oh. That is also true when you are dealing with math problems. Kadaghan naman siguro muna ka-encounter o mga mathematical problems, di ba? So kung wadyo ka kasabot sa imuhang gibasa nga problem, you cannot proceed to the next step. Wa ka balo unsay operation himuon, unsay mga facts nga akong gamiton ani, and you cannot solve and answer the problem. So the first step to be able to solve any problem, and this is also true in real life, is to understand the problem. Or if it is a question, you have to understand the question. Then after that, you can gather kung ano yung mga kailangan ng mga facts to be able to solve the problem. Kailangan ba ni kanisya, kailangan ba ni siya, or what? Then after that, you're going to analyze. And this is very important ang analysis, ang imuhang comparison of your experiences before. Kasi gihimo na ko sa una ka, gisolve din ako nga problem. Then you are going to apply it again kung applicable siya or kung nakita nimo nga dili effective ang imuhang gihimo nga solution before, you will try to seek for another solution. So analysis is the name of that particular process. After analyzing, you're going to use all the formulas that you have, especially sa math, mga formula. Or kung wala nimo na memorize ang mga formula, you can also look for the copy of the formula and you will apply those formula to solve the problem. So, mubalik gyapon ta atong step-by-step process in solving the problem. So, by the way, when was the last time nag-solve mong problem? Nagamit ninyo inyong reasoning? Wala nyo na nagamit yung reasoning?
Gamit sir.
In your daily life, for example? Wala mo
Kuan sir.
nag-reasoning sa inyong daily life?
Kuan sir to.
Kamacho?
To nakakuan sir, to nakabuak og baso.
O kana, example na siya, di ba? So, nakabuak og baso si John. So, unsa man niya pag-justify sa iyang parent karon nga ang iyahang baso is nato siya sentimental value sa iyahang mama. So, dili na magawas imong reasoning skill karon para dili ka makasabaan. So, that's a good example. So, once again, good afternoon sa mga nag-abot karon. We are dealing with reasoning. So, how about the others? When was the last time nga nagamit mo sa inyong reasoning skills?
Ano sir, utang.
Yes, can you share about that, Mr. Mahestad?
Kanang mga utang-utang sir ba?
Then, pagpaninglon, mangita ka og reason?
Yes sir.
Na yung mga inaana dere. So, sabi mga reason ninyo. Ay, sorry ha, kay wala ko ka ng nagasto ako,
Pagpaninglon.
nagasto akong kwarta karon. So, that is a good example, pero kung ako ang maningil ana, murag I would like you to be honest na lang. So tinalang ko kung wa kay ibayad, di ba ana no? Kaysa magligo-ligo,
Lalo mo sir.
Yun, sir.
Lalo mo sir, mo dinay ba sir?
Kaysa sir, kaysa moingon no kuan sir, ugma na lang.
Oh, then pag magsulti kag ugma na lang, then you have to be true to your words. Kay luoy pud kay ibutang nimo imong kaugalingon karon sa naningil. Nagasto pa na siya og kuan, gasolina. Yang
Excuse me, sir. Utang sa kuha, sir.
walang balibaran.
Abtan lang tuig sir,
Magamit-
iya pang bayaran sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Skills sir.
Yes,
Sir,
what is
excuse
your
me,
question? Who is talking?
Sir, hinay na yung tingog, sir.
Hinay ba akong tingog?
Dili man, sir.
Sadyang
Kusog na
yun lang
Kusog
yun mo
na
tingog,
sir.
sir.
So kuso gani mo naglanog lagi akong tingog diri sa office may gani kay ako na lang nabilin diri karon. So anyway, those are some of the examples nga mogamit ta og reasoning. So what are the other activities, daily activities nga magamit ta og reasoning? Kanang unsa imong tan-awon siguro nga movie or kung modula ba ka og online game or dili or unsa imong kaunon karon, mo attend ba ka og online class or dili. Things like that. Those are some of the daily activities nga ma-test ang atoang reasoning, di ba? So siguro unconsciously, we are doing reasoning. Ang uban lang sa inyo is wala siguro na aware nga nagagamit sila og reasoning na pwede rin unay nag-chat diri nga masuko kaya masuko. So kana ang imuhang pag-decide kung mo chat ka or dili, that is also part of reasoning. So generally kung maghimo kag decision sa imong life, it involves reasoning. And kung na-expose ka sa a lot of experiences, mas how daw ka mag-reason out. Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Sir, magamit ba?
Yes, sir.
Of course, kay kung exposed ka sa different problems in life, murag mo magud siya ang nagpahasa sa imuha. So kung naay mga problems nga moabot, daghan kag mga experiences nga pwede nimo balikan. Compared atong wala kay nakaagi problema, di ba? Sa ilaha kung naay problem nga moabot, sila kabalo kay mo reason out. So ang uban ato ma-depressed dayon or daghan kay mga problema. So kung naay mga problems nga moabot sa ato, actually that is an opportunity for us to grow. So since our topic is all about reasoning, we will be discussing first deductive reasoning. So kinsa diri ang naay idea what deductive reasoning is all about? Ganina murag wala man to yung nag-mention, no? So I will just continue the slide. This is one of the most common type of reasoning because this is following syllogism. Are you familiar with the word syllogism? Ipakita dari. This is pattern ni siya. Pattern ni siya sa statement where the statement starts from the general one. So magsugod siya sa general statement padulong sa specific statement. So mao ni siya ang timailhan for deductive reasoning. Magsugod sa general, magpagamay siya. Hantod ang imuhang conclusion is specific na siya. So this is a classic example. So ang tawag ani is syllogism. Ang syllogism is composed of three sentences, three parts na siya. Ang first part is the major premise. Second part is the minor premise. Ang minor premise, dito na ka magsugod og specify. Kay ang major premise nimo kay moto siya ang general. And then after that, you will make your conclusion, which is also specific. So I will read the example. All men are mortal. General statement siya, di ba? It talks about all, tanan. So general siya. This time, I will get a single example. So specific na ning second sentence. Socrates, are you familiar with Socrates? Ang uban ang pag-pronounce ani kay si Socrates. Pero si Socrates
Yes,
ni
sir.
siya,
Yes,
he's a
sir.
philosopher.
Philosopher Greek.
Okay.
Philosopher siya, sir.
So magkuha kong example sa man, men man ang gibutan diri sa first sentence. All men are mortal. So Socrates is a man. So minor premise ito siya. So what will be my conclusion? Kung all men are mortal, therefore Socrates is mortal. Kay man siya. So that is a conclusion. So kaning line of reasoning nga gigamit nako, this is deductive reasoning. So nagsugod ka sa general statement, imuha din gi-specify. That is deductive reasoning. And usually ginagamit na nato siya in daily life. So ang tawag atong form sa argument nga major premise followed by minor premise and then your conclusion, ang tawag ato is syllogism. So include that one in your vocabulary. Naklaro ba? So that is the first example. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. So nakakuha ka conclusion nimo nga mortal siya, it's because naman kay major nga statement nga all men are mortal. So pwede po nimo ilisan ang minor premise nimo, magkuha na po kag another specific nga tao, then i-conclude na po nimo nga mortal siya. Pasabot ana is kitang tanan mamatay, di ba? Kay we are mortal. We are not immortal. So that is the main point of that. Another example is major premise, all TNT winners are excellent singers. Siguro tawag ng tanghala ni siya. So that is a general statement. Tanan daw mga nakadaog sa tawag ng tanghalan are excellent singers. Minor premise, so I will get an example of a winner sa tawag ng tanghalan. So Janine. Janine is a TNT winner. So what will be my conclusion? Therefore, Janine is an excellent singer. So walay mali sa ako ang gisulti kay nag-follow man ko sa syllogism. So this is an example of deductive reasoning. Nasabtan ninyo?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Kapo.
Very good. So another example is all birds are animals. Parrot is a bird. Therefore, parrot is an animal. So, ikutawon mo siya, general statement, all birds are animals, a subject niya kay bird. And then sa second statement, dapat magkuha siya og singular nga bird. So that is parrot. Then iyang conclusion is katong all birds are animals, so dapat ma-mention ang animals diri. Therefore, parrot is an animal. So inaana ka simple lang ang maghimo og syllogism that follows deductive reasoning. Another one. I would like to ask someone to read this one, kaya I will be asking for your example later. Mr. Monsanto, can you read the next example nga gi-flash karon? Go ahead.
All human beings are created by God. Peter is a human being. Peter is created by God.
Very
Explain
good.
that.
Sige, what can you say? Is that a deductive reasoning?
Yes, sir, because in that lane, sir, it is basing a fact that
Based on a fact.
that Peter is
That
a human being, therefore he is created by God.
because ang iyang pinakauna nga statement is all human beings are created by God.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is the general statement. So ang iya pong final statement is kato si Peter is created by God because Peter is a human being. So that is how you create the syllogism. Thank you so much, Mr. Monsanto. So who can give me an example right now
Sir.
of a syllogism that follows deductive form? You raise your hand if you want to answer.
Sir, ako, sir.
Okay. Nag-raise og hand si Kosal.
Sir, try lang, sir.
Okay.
Ano, sir? All light being electricity and
Sa all light, light nga suga.
yes, sir.
All light, continue.
All wait, sir, kalimutan. All light being electricity are created by electricity
All
and
light are, okay.
light is electricity being and
Oh,
creating.
sa naman, nalibog na
Hubad na
ako.
Clark.
Nakuha ninyo?
There's no light.
Light, suga.
Sige, sige. Pwede po siguro nimo i-type na lang, Mr. Kusal, kay siguro sa iyahang audio, no? Ang audio niya is dili kay maklaro kay murag balik-balik ang word nga light. Sa ang major premise niya kay nagamit siya all light are tapos nagi-connect sa electricity. Ang iyang second sentence nga dapat minor premise, di ba? Kay balik niya ang light na po, di ba? So di ba dapat sa second sentence minor premise magkuha na ka og example kay specific naman dapat. General to specific naman dapat. So nakuha ni mo Kosal. So you can
yes, sir.
imo
Yes,
sa
sir, yes, sir.
i-revise na lang to siya. So I will call other students nga nag-raise og hand. Let's have Liboon.
Sir,
May biyahe na, sir.
all mammals are
Oh,
animals.
nagbiyahe pa si Liboon. Sige, all mammals are animals. Continue. Wala pa naman. First sentence pa to.
Wait lang.
Kulangan. All mammals are animals. That's the major premise. What's your minor premise? Magkuha ka isa ka example
All-
sa mammal.
Ako, sir. All elephants are mammals.
Oo. Bago ni siya? Sige, padayon.
Therefore, all elephants are animals.
Okay, atong i-check yung kuan ha, yung answer. Ang first sentence is all mammals are animals. So, pwede siya. Sa second sentence niya dapat, nagkuha ka siya ng example sa mammal. So, elephant is a mammal. That should be the second sentence. Kaya para ang iyang conclusion, therefore, elephant is an animal. Nakuha ni mo Liboon. I hope nakuha ni Liboon. Okay, yung first statement. So, naalala siya something wrong sa second statement niya kay elephant is a mammal. Unta to siya kay specific example. And then the conclusion is elephant is an animal. Because the first sentence is all mammals are animals.
Sir, gets na
I hope you have understood the syllogism. Anyway, this will be posted in your Quipper messages. Gihapon siya. You can give your example sa Quipper messages. So I will continue the presentation while the others, I will check kung nag-type ba sila. Sa maning Carl is a mammal. Ano na siya? Conclusion na ni siya, Camacho. Wala kay first
Sir,
sentence.
ako labot na, sir, eh.
Dili man ni ikaw yata. Murag Carl.
Sir, may example ko, sir.
Ma'am, sir,
sir, rasad ko, sir.
Sir, ako, sir.
Naka-example, sir.
So, ang yung example lagi ninyo, pwede nyo ikuan sa
May
Quipper na
example
lang.
ko.
Para mas nindot dito kay mo. Tubag mo po
Liga-liga,
dito.
Jutex.
Kaya para dili mahugaw, dili masayang atong time, di ba? I know you have a lot of examples.
Because, sir,
More or less, inato ang
question, sir, sa syllogism.
inato ang forma sa syllogism. Then let's proceed. Kaya naabot tayo yung mga words nga valid diri. When a conclusion follows logically from the major and the minor premises, then the argument is said to be valid. So tan-awon nimo ang form sa imuhang argument kung valid ba siya or dili. So for example kani, is this a valid syllogism? Valid ba iyahang pagkahimo? All rectangles are parallelograms. All squares are parallelograms. Therefore, all rectangles are squares. Valid ba ni? Nag-follow ba siya sa format sa syllogism?
Dili,
Yes
sir.
or no?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Delay, sir.
Kita
No,
ninyo?
no.
Delay, sir.
No. So therefore, this is invalid. Kita ninyo, ang iyang mong second statement, balik ko na to siya. Second statement niya is all squares are parallelograms. Unsa dapat iyang second statement? Kaya ang iyang
Dapat
first statement kay
rectangles.
all rectangles,
Square lang, sir.
Dapat
all rectangles are parallelograms. So iyang subject kay rectangle. So dapat nangita siya og example sa rectangle. Lahi
rectangle.
man yang gibutang diri parallelograms naman. Dapat ani parallelograms mugawas ni siya sa conclusion na. So therefore, this is not valid. So dapat kani siya ang gihimo na lang uta diri since all rectangles are parallelograms, second statement dapat na diri a square is a rectangle. Kaya di ba a square is also a rectangle sa geometry. Then therefore, mo to himonya ang conclusion, therefore square is a parallelogram. So that can be a better answer kani. Muna siya ang correct nga argument valid. All rectangles are parallelograms. So since rectangles imong subject, you will get one example of a rectangle, so that's a square. A square is a rectangle. Then your conclusion, dito na mo gawa si parallelogram. Since ang square is a rectangle, then tanan rectangle kay parallelogram, therefore a square is a parallelogram. So this is the correct form of syllogism. This is the valid argument. Nagets ninyo?
Yes, sir.
Very
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Another thing that we have to know is aside sa valid ba siya or invalid, dapat kabalo po ta kung tinuod ba siya or dili. Because even if the syllogism is valid, the conclusion may not be true all the time. Example, all Asians are math geniuses. Bart is Asian. Therefore, Bart is a math genius. So kung tanaw ni mo yung form niya, all Asians are math geniuses. So dapat magkuha ka example sa Asian. Bart is Asian. Conclusion, Bart is a math genius. Walay problema, valid iyang syllogism. Pero kung tanaw ni mo ang truth value, tinuod ba ni siya?
Delay, sir.
Dili kay gibalaan nato nga si Bart DI is an artist who struggles in math. So dili mo ma-generalize perminti nga genius tanan. So not all syllogism nga valid are true. So this is an example of false or not true nga syllogism. So ang conclusion niya is false. And napagi hatag diri nga statement nga ethnicity does not automatically determine academic success in a particular area. Kay mahimo naman siya og discrimination, di ba? So kung ikaw taga US ka nya makita nimo nga laoy Asian math geniuses, so ako American man ko. So it will be a discrimination, di ba? So dili siya tama pod. So ang tawag ato is prejudice. Kay murag na may gihatag nga mga judgment sa other people. Just like this example, all Africans are bad drivers. Sally is African. Therefore, Sally is a bad driver. So this is a prejudice. Even though tama ang iyahang syllogism, nag-follow siya sa correct format, pero ang iyahang dating is offensive, especially kung ikaw African. So this is
Invalid.
valid siya pero untrue.
Oh, lahat
Okay,
yung
nag-guess
invalid
ninyo?
sa untrue, sir.
Lahi ang valid. Valid siya kung nag-follow siya sa pattern. All Africans are bad drivers. So nagkuha siya specific African. Sally is an African. Conclusion, Sally is a bad driver. Valid, yes. Is it true? No. So again, pwede siya valid nga syllogism, pero dili siya true. So ang tawag ato prejudice. Nasabtan ninyo?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Valid
sir.
Yes, sir.
resulting of valid, very good. Valid syllogisms are not always true. So other examples of deductive reasoning kay para nagdaghan tag mga baon para naapod mo ihatag ang example sa inyong message sa Kuiper. All students eat pizza. Claire is a student at ASU. So ASU is a school. So all students, na naghatag ang example, Claire is a student. So your conclusion is Claire eats pizza. So nag-follow siya og correct syllogism. Pero kung pangutan-on nato, is this a true statement? Pwede ka mag-interview dito, ang pangalan niya Claire, tapos musulti siya, ay di ba ko makaog pizza? So this can be untrue. Valid siya, pero not true. Number 2, all athletes work out in the gym. Barry Bonds is an athlete. Therefore, Barry Bonds works out in the gym. Valid or invalid?
Valid.
sir.
Very
Valid,
good.
sir. True pa dyan.
Valid,
Sir, valid.
follow man siya no, all athletes, tapos nagkuha siya ng example ng athlete, tapos conclusion. Is this true? Valid siya, pero is this true or not?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, kisa nagsulti og
No.
no, can you justify? Nganong dili man ni siya
Kamacho,
true?
sir. Kamacho.
Sige,
Alangan,
si Camacho.
True na, sir.
cancer ka ng athlete, sir, no? Sa athlete man ta, sir, no?
Mm.
Ana siya
Yes.
sir nga, kuan tanan athlete kay workout sa gym. Ay, kuan po, sir, as kan trot life experience sir, nang amo singan, sir, ba? Athlete man siya, pero di workout sa gym, sir. Naroon siya sa dalan, kana magkuan siya, sir. Niya siyang baler po siya mag-workout, sir. Kaya wala siya sarili nga kuan, sir.
Very good. So that is a good justification, Camacho. Kay dili daw tanan athlete nag-workout sa gym. Kay especially right now nga bawal ang closed door, di ba? So ang uban kay naa sila sa outdoor, naa sila sa outdoor, pero athlete gyapon sila. So because of the justification nga siguro si Barry Bonds is iyahang sport kay dili sa gym nagakuan, naga-practice. So tama tong answer ni Camacho. So this
Napayuban sa swimming pool.
argument may not be true. Ang uban kasi swimming pool siguro nga open, ang uban kasi sa dagat jud. So dito sa gym, pero athlete gihapon sila. So that is correct. So at least you know how to reason out. Number 3, all math teachers are over 5 feet tall.
Ara.
Mr. D is a math teacher. Therefore, Mr. D is over 5 feet tall.
Ate-ate ka dito tanan day. Abot yun dito diri.
So unsa may comment ninyo ani? The argument is valid, but this is not true.
True.
Okay, di ba na may mga math teacher nga dili kay tangkad?
Nay
Ah,
4
sir.
feet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
4-footer.
Teacher nga
May mga
kinag
4 foot daw, 4-footer. So, sa
Ugang
uban.
mas Camacho, sir. Teacher, di mo ginagmay, sir.
May mga inaana. So that is a good justification. So I hope nasabtan ninyo ha. In summary, mo ni siya ang form sa syllogism, sa deductive reasoning. If P, then Q. So kung P ang subject, then sa second sentence, mangita kang example sa P. So X is P, and then sa imong conclusion, X is Q. So himuan mo coding ba? So P ang general, tapos Q. Second statement, manguha ka example sa P, so X is P, and then ang imuhang conclusion, kato si X, himuon mo siya is Q. Just like kani siya nga mga examples, katong previous examples. Kaning all students mo ni ang P student. Ang eats pizza mo ni siya ang Q. So ang imuhang P nga student, kikuhaan mo siya example, so si Claire, so mo to si X. X is student. Therefore, X is katong Q eats pizza. So in ato ang general form sa syllogism that follows deductive reasoning. For you to say that it is valid. And again, not all valid arguments are true. Kani, this is another example. Kindly read and give your answer. Is this valid or invalid? Camacho. Si Camacho ang daghag participation karon, no?
All smiling cats talk. The Cheshire cat smiles. Therefore, the Cheshire cat talks. Cancer,
Okay.
kanang
Valid ba
valid.
siya? Okay,
Pero
why?
dili siya true. Valid siya, sir, pero dili siya true.
Kasi ang first question pa man is valid ba or invalid. So kato sa unahang
Valid,
justify. Why is it valid?
Yan naman siya, sir. All smiling cats talk. Tapos, kanang Cheshire. Tama ba ang pag-pronounce, sir?
Cheshire, okay.
Cheshire cat, sir. Kaning smile man, sir.
So example siya sa
pasabutan
smiling
na, sir,
cat.
Ang Cheshire, yes, sir. Ang Cheshire, sir, nga iring, sir, mo istorya, sir. So, kibali tama siya, sir.
Okay.
Valid siya, sir.
Pero if the question will be, is it true or not?
Not, sir.
Because walay
Wala mo kay
cut
story ni
nga
Eric.
nagastorya. Very good. So
Depende sa
Mr.
concept.
Camacho understood the lesson
Si
na
Tom ra.
answer ito lang
Fairy
Kimkoy,
tale.
di ba?
Si Talking
Si
Tom.
Happy.
Another example.
Tama ta na ko.
Anyone who can read this one and give your answer, is this valid or invalid? Mahestad. Tapos si Jafet, Mahestad.
Yes, sir.
Read. Kindly read.
Some professors wear glasses. Mr. Einstein wear glasses. Therefore, Mr. Einstein is a professor.
Is it valid or invalid?
Ano, sir? Valid, sir.
Okay, why? Tama ba ang iyang pag-follow? Ay, ang katong kuan, pattern?
Right, sir.
Katong
Pero, sir.
X, if P. Ang P nimo, ang subject nimo is professor, ha? Professor, then wears glasses. Ang wears glasses mo ni mong Q. Dapat sa ang wears glasses mo gawas ni siya sa final conclusion. Mo dito siya dapat ang ano. Second statement nimo dapat nagkuha kang example sa professor. Pero unsay himo niya nga statement, Mr. Einstein wears glasses. Wala niya specify nga si Mr. Einstein is a professor. So,
Ay,
do you
valid.
think nag-follow ba siya?
Valid, sir.
Sa
Wala.
P,
Valid na, sir.
P, Q,
Valid.
then X is P, then
Valid na, sir.
X is
Valid.
Q.
Valid, ay.
Valid, sir.
So, therefore,
Dili.
it is
Invalid, sir.
invalid.
Valid.
Sir, what
So,
if,
kung-
sir, ka na?
Okay, before we proceed, ay nangutana. Kasi nagutana og what if?
Sir, what if, sir, ka ng cancer? Some professors wear glasses, sir, niya. Einstein is a professor niya. Valid yung cancer, pero some yung cancer, okay rin po, sir.
Well, that's
Dili
another
general.
thing. That's another thing.
Okay,
Some
sir.
is not also general. So you have to use all.
Ah,
So
okay,
that's
okay.
another
So,
thing that
uh,
makes the statement invalid. It's because ang iyang first statement
Okay,
is
sir.
not general. Some
Dili
lang
man
man.
tanan,
So
sir.
dili,
Dili man
kailangan
tanan, sir.
general statement yun siya. When we say general, it is applicable to everyone. Walay selection. Walay
Okay.
exemption.
Gusto na.
So that's a good observation, Mr. Camacho. So that's another reason why it is invalid also. For the question, is it true or not true? What can you say? So kaya pwede man siya nag-wear o glasses lang, di ba? Pwede man siya nag-wear o glasses dahil pero namaligyan na
Malay
siya
mo, sir.
kita.
Nag-wear din siya glasses na, sir.
Pero wala siya nag-teach, di ba? So
Yes, sir.
this can be untrue, not true. So nasabtan ninyo?
Untrue.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope
sir.
so. Last example. Anyone, read and give your justification. Is it valid or invalid? Christian. Congratulations, Christian. Si Christian ang highest sa exam ninyo.
Sige, sir.
You got
All
97.
mothers,
Okay.
sana all.
Wala man nag-isgo tuguan.
All mothers cook delicious dishes.
Wala man siya nag-discuss.
Adobo is a delicious dish.
Adobo.
Therefore, all mothers cook
Three mo
adobo.
mag-dis niya. Three
Is
mo.
it valid or invalid?
Delicious.
Invalid, sir.
Invalid.
Okay, why?
Kay mothers man ang iyang kuandre sir niya pag abot sa second kay ni kalitrag adobo.
Very good. So ang better version ani dapat after all mothers cook delicious dishes, dapat nag-mention siya og isa ka mother. For example, Lani is a mother. And therefore, Lani cooks delicious dishes. Mao to dapat ang nasa final statement. Very good, Samson. So at least nakabalo na mo saan pag-identify, di ba? So kung mangutana po, is this true or untrue?
Untrue, sir.
Ay naapoy mo siguro, ay mga mothers, no, nga dili kay sila nagaluto, di ba?
Yes, sir.
So we can say that this is not true all the time. So that is all about, okay, na gusto mo habol ng example, while the others, again, I encourage you to answer using Kuiper messages, ha, kay nagabasa po ko dito. Pero na ay gusto mo share, go ahead, Miss Ayop. Si Ayop ang gusto mo share.
Yes, sir. Sa deductive reasoning, sir. Example, sir. All Filipinos eat rice. Ronnie is a Filipino. Therefore, Ronnie eats rice.
Oh, Ronnie is rice.
Ronnie eats rice.
Eats rice. Okay. Abi na ko nahimo ng variety sa bugas si Ronnie. Kaluoy po ni Ronnie. No? Kasama ni si Ronnie. So that is a good example. Thank you so much, Miss Ayop. that is recorded also. Naanay pangutana about deductive? Klaro man no, mag-start ka sa general, then mahuman ka sa specific. On that note, we will continue with inductive. Kaya ang inductive man good is baliktad. So kung nag-start ta ganina sa general statement ng mga all, then nag-end ta sa specific, naghimo ta og conclusion nga specific na nato siya, ang inductive is magsugod ka sa specific. Then mag-end up ka, imong conclusion is a general statement. So let's have an example. Kani,
Wa na gyud.
mo na siya ang katong answer di ba ganina. What is the next sa sequence daw nga 6, 13, 20 and 27? So if you are going to observe, unsa na observe nimo? Actually gihata na ako ang answer di ba? Ganina kay question pa lang. 6, 13, 27, 27. Unsa ang next dapat daw ani sa sequence? Unsay na observe ninyo? Ang 6 ug 13, unsay difference nila?
7,
So
sir.
that is nagawa na kag specific cases ha. So this is going from specific cases to general statement. So makuha ka conclusion based sa imuhang nakitaan nga mga specific cases. And take note, there is sa inductive reasoning, the conclusion is never guaranteed. So dili tanan conclusion po sa inductive reasoning tama. Just like po ganina sa deductive reasoning, dili po tanan statement ni mga gihimo is tama. Depende po sa situation. So kung kani nakita ni mga 7 ang difference, 13 to 27 gihapon, 20 to 27, 7. So pwede na ka mahimog conclusion karon nga ang next number will be generated if you will add 7. Tama ba?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Nakakita naman ka mga example. So kato mga 7 ganina, mga specific to siya. So imo ang general statement theory is, I will come up with the next number by adding 7. So what will be the next number?
34, sir.
Very good, 34. So kung inato ang dagan, you are using inductive reasoning. Naghimo kag imong answer based sa imuhang observation. That is the general definition of inductive reasoning, or in other books, this is known as induction. So wala kay siya i-follow nga syllogism parehas ganina sa deductive reasoning. Wala siya format. It's actually free flow. Ang imo lang tan-awon is nagakuha ka mga specific instances, then after that naghimo na ka conclusion. So actually mas common ni siya sa general real life situation. So how are we going to make inductive reasoning? We have the general steps. Step number 1 is mura siya scientific katulad sa iyong science gani sa experimentation. You are going to make hypothesis. Are you still familiar with that?
Yes, sir.
You make hypothesis.
Yes.
Unsa kay reason na hitabo ni siya no? Okay mo ni siya. So nakay ka ng murag tentative nga answer, murag guess lang siya. So that can be your hypothesis. The second step is you gather evidence karon, mo to siya mga instances, specific instances, para i-check nimo kung tama ba to imuhang hypothesis that will answer your question. Number 3 is you make conclusion based on the data that you have gathered. So mo to siya ang 3 simple steps in making inductive reasoning. Here is an example. Bidawi kung makahimo ba mo og reason ani? Unsa ang nahitabo? How did the living room window break? For example, ikaw ang nasa situation ha, sa inyong balay na amoy window. Pag abot nimo kay nabuak ang window ninyo. Parehas na siya sa example ganina kato nabuak kag baso gani. Pero mo ni siya mga evidence nga imong nakuha. Naay bola sa baseball in the living room floor. There is a baseball on the living room floor. Number 2, the baseball was not there paghawa nimo this morning. Number 3, some children were playing baseball this afternoon. Another observation nga mo nakuha, the children were playing in the vacant lot across the window. So siguro na ay bakante nga lote tapos sa inyong balay. Na nagdulak ang mga bata dito. Then, they stopped playing a little while ago. So pag abot nimo, nga wala kalit ang mga bata. Then, the last observation yung mo nakita, they are not in the vacant lot now. So what will be the answer siguro kung ikaw ang nasa situation? How did that living room window break? Any
Kailangan na
answer?
Naigo sa
Camacho.
baseball.
uban na lang sa sir.
Sige, we will give chance to others. Kato nag-answer kanina og naigo sa unsa daw.
Naigo sa bola, sir.
De Castro to siya.
Yes,
De
sir.
Castro. Go ahead, De Castro.
Children break the window, sir. Kasi sila may nagdula sa baseball, sir. Dito sa vacant lot.
Okay, so ang imuhang hinala is
Ang children.
ang mga bata ang nakasala, sila ang
Yes, sir.
naka-break sa window kay sila ang nagdula sa baseball.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So one of the children or siguro silang tanan hit or threw the ball through the window. Then after that, nakasala sila, they all ran away. So nakita ninyo, naka-arrive na sa conclusion, it's because naatay gipanguha ang mga evidences. Sa katong mga evidences nato, mo to siya ang mga specific. So from specific, proceed ta sa generalization. This is what we call as inductive reasoning. Nasabtan ninyo?
Yes sir.
So unsa
Yes,
nga mga
sir.
instances karon sa kinabuhi nga nagamit mo og inductive reasoning? Nagamit ba mo ka ng inductive reasoning? For example, kanang naay naka-experience og heartbreak. Sa iyang first nga uyab kay na heartbreak
Dexter,
siya.
sir.
So that's an example, instance na siya specific. Sa iyang first nga uyab kay nasakitan siya, bulag sila. Sa iyang ikaduhang nga uyab kay nasakitan gapon siya, so nagbulag gapon siya. So na-conclude niya karon nga tanan mga mauyab niya is permanente na siya pasakitan. So naay mga inana nga tao, di ba? So ang gihimo ni ato nila is naghimo sila og inductive reasoning. They make conclusions, they make general statements because of their specific experiences. Nag-raise og hand si Likonan. Likonan, do you have an example or can you relate to
Sir,
inductive reasoning?
napindot.
Napindot lang or nakarelate siguro si Likonan ato. Let's proceed. Here are some examples of inductive reasoning. So I will read the first example, ha. For the past 10 years, Jenny observed that her father gave her a bouquet of flowers during her birthday. So napulo ka tuig ang ninglabay kada birthday niya nagahatag yang papa og bouquet. So iyaha yung gihikuan, tomorrow is her birthday. So iyaha yung gihimong conclusion dere, the last statement will be the conclusion. She predicts that she will receive another bouquet of flowers. So nakita ninyo ang dagan sa iyang reasoning. Naa siya mga specific instances, kaning mga every year ginatagaan siya. Then ang iyang conclusion, maka-receive siya og flower based sa iyang specific instance. So this is an example of inductive reasoning. Nasabtan ninyo?
Yes, sir.
Who can give me an example? Isa daw ang magkataw example daw, be? Anyone? Murag wala pa ready maghatag, so I will give another example. Another example, my father was loud when he was angry. Saba kay siya. Saba kayo ang papa kung masuko siya. Then I can make a statement. I think all fathers are loud when they are angry. Do you agree that this is a statement following inductive reasoning?
Yes, sir. Nga na
Yes.
papa no, sir.
Okay, di ba specific, mga papa saba kay sila kung mga saba, kung masuko sila saba kaayo. So even though imong paparato or paparato sa imong amigo or imong silingan, then maghimo na kag statement dayon nga all fathers are loud when they are angry. Saba kay na sila kung masuko. So ang specific, gihimo nimong general, that is inductive reasoning. Another one. The first two kids I met at my new school were nice to me. Conclusion, therefore, the students at this school are really nice. Bisag duha lang kabuok, imuhang na-meet dito nga nice, specific ni sila, naghimo na ka general statement dayon na the students are nice. So this is inductive reasoning. Nagets ninyo? Kinsay makahimo na example?
Yes, sir.
Ako, sir.
Yes. Kumacho again.
Ang kuan,
Sino
sir.
kumacho ka recitation. Then followed by ASCII before we end.
Okay, sir.
Go ahead.
Kanang kuan, sir. Kanang sa kuan, sir. Ay, pwede Bisaya, sir, o English jud, sir.
Sige na, pwede na Bisaya. Anyway, magsinabot na maghapon ta. Pero during sa inyong paper messages, sabi pa English or Tagalog ninyo kay para ma-improve ang atong communication skills. Sige, Camacho, ka nagulat si Asi.
Kuan, sir, ang sapa sa mouth, sir, ay hugaw, sir. Therefore, tanan sapa sa Pilipino hugaw.
Very good. Pwede na ano, sapat sa ilaha kay hugaw. Kita niya and then gi-generalize sa niya nga tanan sapa sa Pilipinas hugaw. Correct. How about Asi?
Ano, sir? Sir?
Example
Hello?
of inductive reasoning. Yes, we can hear you.
Ano, sir? The teacher uses PowerPoint.
Go ahead, presentation.
The teacher uses PowerPoint sa last 3 subjects niya, sir.
Okay, and
Therefore, therefore, tomorrow the teacher use PowerPoint presentation.
Very good. So, di ba? That is an example of inductive reasoning. Kaya nakita niya yung teacher na gamit ang PowerPoint presentation. Ang second teacher na po niya gamit na po PowerPoint presentation. So, nakita niya nga, sige, gamit ang PowerPoint presentation ng teacher. So, the next meeting daw nila, mag-PowerPoint presentation na po ng teacher. That is inductive reasoning. So, from the specific, gihimuan ng general statement. So napay yes, si Mahestad, last example before we end our session for this afternoon.
Kana, sir. Example, sir. Every quiz has been easy. Therefore, the test will be easy.
Very good. Pwede. Murag i-conclude ni mo, ang mga quiz kay sayon lang. Pag-abot sa exam ani, sayon lang pud siya. So ang imong mindset is nag-follow ka og inductive reasoning. Can you also see the last example nga akong gi-flash karon?
Yes, sir.
This is an example of inductive reasoning. Marie loves to color. She loves to draw. She makes great designs. Tapos naghatag ka conclusion dayon, Marie will become an artist. So from specific, nagtanaw ka mga specific nga mga instances, then nag-draw din ka conclusion. That is an example of inductive reasoning. So to summarize our lesson, again, when we talk about deductive, it is from general to specific. So magsugod ka sa mga all, and then specific din ang conclusion. On the other hand, when we say inductive reasoning, baliktad siya, you start with specific, then from that, imuha din yung i-generalize. Nagkasinabot ba ta?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.